Good afternoon, Bagley students. I'm in my green space right outside my window, my little garden area, and I am going to record a science lesson for you. This is our last science lesson from the soils unit, and Rossi's right here trying to get outside, and I'm blocking him, so maybe he'll appear across the screen in a second. And I just want to remind you about our soil components, and on this lesson you're going to draw on everything that you remember from the unit we studied and the field trip when we went to Mercer Slough, and we're thinking about the worm bins we had in the classroom. We're also thinking about all those tests we did, like the roll test and the settling test and the smear test. And I have the last 3 vials here, I kept them, of the settling test we did with the sand and the humus, it's been a while, and the clay. And I'm going to use those to help me, as you are as well going to help use your folder, which was in the packet, to help you figure out what's in our local soil. So for this lesson, you're going to need a sample of your local soil, which is not your garden soil, which has been amended to make things grow, but something along a parking strip out front of your house or near where you live. So soil that hasn't had anything added to it to make it help things grow. You're going to need a jar with a lid, and here's the jar of honey that Eamon got me for my birthday way back in September, and I finally had finished it. So I'm going to be using that. You need a lid. You're also going to need your notebook and your sheet from your packet titled Local Soil and trimmed, so cut it, and a focus question, which you didn't I don't think I gave you. Maybe I did, I'm not sure anymore. It's been so long, but it's right here, and I have it, but you're going to write it, and you can pause the video to write it. You're also going to need a sample, a little bit of water to do the settling test and the roll test. You're going to need a glue stick to glue in your chart, your local soil chart, and you're going to need some paper towels. Okay, so let's get started. Right, so we're going to open our notebooks to the next 2 pages, and on the left hand side you're going to glue in the local soil chart, and on the right hand side you're going to write the focus question. Okay, and the focus question is, what evidence have we collected from our soil tests that will help us identify what is in our local soil? And I'm going to go ahead and send that out to your parents so that you will have it in advance before this lesson starts. And one more time, what evidence have we collected from our soil tests that will help us identify what is in our local soil? Okay. And just like we used to do in the classroom, I'm going to have you circle the important words. Evidence, that's a really important word. Soil. Identify, and tests. And then go ahead and write the date up there, 4-29-20, or when you are writing this. Okay, so the date goes up there because scientists always write the date. So when they look back, they can have a data point to reference. And you circle the important words because you will probably use them in your statements when you start writing about what you notice. Okay, those are words that you will use. Okay, let's get started. Right, so we'll do the settling test first. For the settling test, you will need your jar, and you will need to put a little bit of soil that you collected in there. Not too much. Okay. Just about that much. And then you will add some water. Okay, remember in the classroom we use the pipette. And I'm already seeing that there are some things floating on the top. Okay, and then we're going to shake it. And then we're going to look and see if things settle really quickly. Okay, and the reason I had you do that first is so you can put it down and it'll settle and you can watch it and then you can reference it before the lesson ends as well. So it has enough time to settle because things settle at different times. So now we're going to go back to our notebook and find that test when we did the settling test. Okay, and it looks like this. Sun's coming out. Okay, and then I'm going to look and I remember, wow, the sand settled really quickly. The humus floated on top. The clay made the water very cloudy. So I'm going to go ahead and look and see if I can notice any of those things happening right now in my jar. As I observe it, I see that the water in my local soil sample is pretty cloudy, and there is material floating on the top. And there's a lot of sediment at the bottom. So I can conclude from this settling test that there is a lot of sand in my local soil right here in my green space. There's a little bit of humus, and it's cloudy, so there's probably some clay. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my settling test here. I'm going to draw the water line. And then I'm going to draw the things I see on top. Some things are floating on top. And I know that this is humus. So I'm going to label it. And of course I picked the pen that doesn't work anymore, and the rest are all in there. And then I'm going to draw the sand particles at the bottom. And then if you have a pencil, which I don't think I brought, you can shade it to show the cloudiness of the clay layer. And I'm going to label my sand, my clay, and my humus. Okay, and then we're going to do the smear test. And so meanwhile, the settling test is still working right here, and I'm not going to shake it up again. It's still going through the process. And I'm going to go ahead and do my smear test. And before I do that, I'm going to observe. And if I had a hand lens right now, I'd use that. And I'm going to observe what's in here. And I see there's some roots. I see some rocks. I see some wood chips. And I see little gray particles, which I think are sand. Okay? And it's dry right now. It's as dry as it's going to be. It's rained in the past few days, but it's relatively dry. It's not completely dry. So I'm going to take some, and I don't even need to add water, but if yours is very dry and you need to add water, add just a drop. I will be able to do the smear test without adding water because it's pretty moist. So I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm just going to do it once. It's not art. It's science, right? We're just going to do it once. The object is not to see how much we can stick on there, but just what it leaves behind. Okay? Now remember, geologists will do this in the field quickly. So I'm looking at my smear, and blow off the excess, and I see it's very dark. Very dark. Okay? And then I'm going to use a paper towel to wipe my hands. I'm going to go back to when we did the smear test to this page. And I'm going to reference them. I'm going to take what I did, the knowledge I gained in this, and humus was the darkest smear, sand was the pretty light smear, and clay was a cloudy smear that was orange. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make some conclusions, draw conclusions about this smear. I'm going to think that there is humus in it because it's pretty dark. And remember, humus is the organic matter, part of soil, component of soil, that is left behind when plants and animals die. Okay, that's that component of soil. Sand is the component of soil that is made up of broken down pieces of rocks and gravel and things like that. Right, so now we're left with the ball test, and this is the messiest part, so we're going to end here. Got a few minutes left. So you take a pinch and you put it into the palm of your hand, and you take your water, and then you just add a little bit at a time. If you have a pipette, it would work very well. And then you try and work it into a ball. Now remember, the ball, if it stays in a ball, it means it has what component in it? If you remember, what were the components that stayed in a ball? So this one is not really staying in a ball. At first it appears to be, but then when I roll it, it seems to break apart. So initially it's in a ball. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that right there on top of the settling test. But when I try and apply it just a little bit more and roll it, it actually falls apart. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to the test, the ball and the roll test in our folder. And so we continue to keep referencing those tests. Okay, and when we did the ball test and the roll test, we noticed that, and it was right across from the smear tests, we noticed that the clay rolled into a ball. The humus rolled into a ball. The sand rolled into a ball, but then immediately fell apart very quickly. Okay? And then after a day has gone by, which one stayed in a ball? Which one broke apart easily? Okay? The humus was in a ball, but then it broke apart easily. The clay stayed in a clay ball. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here on top of my jar of the settling test, and I'm going to go ahead and observe that tomorrow as well. And I'm going to go ahead now and continue to make my notes up here in this area about what the results were, what I noticed. So I'm not writing complete sentences up here. I'm just going to write blurbs. So the rolled ball, yes. But when you apply pressure, it breaks apart. Okay, and then the settling test, it's still settling, it's cloudy. Okay, and there's items floating on top. Items floating. Okay, and then the smear test is dark. Okay, with some striations, with some stripes. I bet those stripes are those parts of sand. Little stripes. Stripes of white within the dark. Right, so on the next page, you would start to write, I noticed. Or, my evidence suggests. Or my evidence shows, and you circled evidence. And then at the end, you're going to write a third sentence that says, therefore, I think. And in that third sentence, you're going to make a claim about what's in your soil sample based on your evidence. I'm gonna have to stop now because I'm not allowed to do videos can't go this long or else they won't upload. I found that out with the math one the other day. Okay, so you're working on everything you know, and you're using your past tests and everything you learn in this unit to help you draw conclusions about your local soil. All right? Have a good rest of your day.